In 1987, a 93-year-old man with severe arthritis was found dead in Spandau Prison.
According to a statement released by the Allies in West Berlin, Hess died while still inside the city's giant red brick Spandau Prison, where he's been held for the past 40 years.
Authorities called it a self-inflicted death, but how could a frail man tie a noose strong enough to kill himself? Within 48 hours, the scene of his death was demolished. Was this just routine or a cover-up? The man was Rudolf Hess, Hitler's former right-hand man, imprisoned for 46 years. His sudden death sparked decades of conspiracy theories. What really happened that day in Spandau? For 21 years, Rudolf Hess was the only prisoner in Spandau, a massive prison in West Berlin run by 4 Allied powers. Keeping one man there cost West Germany about $670,000 a year, over $2 million today. Rudolf Hess was born in Alexandria, Egypt, on April 26, 1894, into a wealthy German merchant family living under British colonial rule. Unlike many Nazi leaders, he grew up admiring British order and structure. His father, Johann Fritz Hess, ran the family import business Hess & Co. and pushed his mathematically gifted son toward a career in commerce. World War I changed Hess's life. He joined the 7th Bavarian Field Artillery Regiment, fought at Ypres and Verdun, and earned the Iron Cross after being wounded by shrapnel. He rose to the rank of Lieutenant der Reserve. The disillusionment of Germany's defeat became the catalyst for Hess's political radicalization. On July 1, 1920, he joined the fledgling Nazi Party as member number 16, quickly establishing himself as one of Hitler's most devoted followers. Their bond deepened during their time in prison at Landsberg following the failed beer hall putsch of 1923. While incarcerated, Hess served as Hitler's personal secretary, helping him transcribe and edit Mein Kampf, the ideological blueprint for Nazism. When Hitler came to power in 1933, Hess became deputy Führer and second in command after Hermann Göring. He signed key Nazi laws, including the Nuremberg laws that stripped Jews of their rights. Hess oversaw departments from foreign affairs to education, acting as Hitler's administrative right hand. Hess gave speeches at the Nuremberg rallies and helped stage large-scale Nazi propaganda events. Behind the scenes, he reviewed cases against political enemies and worked with industrialists to fund the regime. But Hess's odd behavior pushed him to the margins of Hitler's inner circle. Many saw him as eccentric, maybe even unstable. Though loyal to Hitler, he quietly questioned Germany's strategy of fighting both Britain and the Soviet Union at the same time. As the war went on, Martin Bormann slowly took over Hess's responsibilities. While others shaped wartime policy, Hess was reduced to a symbolic figure. Isolated and sidelined, he began plotting one of the war's most bizarre events, a personal peace mission to Britain without Hitler's knowledge. What happens when one man believes he alone can stop a world war? In May 1941, as Germany prepared to fight on 2 fronts, Hess came up with a plan so bold, historians still debate whether it was an act of loyalty or the ultimate betrayal. With Operation Barbarossa, Hitler's planned invasion of the Soviet Union looming on the horizon, Hess became convinced that Britain must be neutralized before Germany committed its forces eastward. On May 10, 1941, after several aborted attempts, Hess climbed into a specially modified Messerschmitt Bf 110 at the Augsburg-Hounstetten airfield, embarking on a perilous mission that would become one of the war's most bizarre episodes. Dressed in a leather flying suit with a captain's rank, he carried maps, money, and a curious collection of homeopathic remedies, small comforts for a man flying toward an uncertain fate. His flight path revealed careful planning. Navigating by landmarks towards the Frisian Islands, Hess made a tactical eastward diversion to evade British radar before setting course across the treacherous North Sea. But British radar still picked him up, designating it Raid 42. 3 Spitfires scrambled to intercept, but failed as Hess pressed on. As fuel dwindled, Hess searched the Scottish countryside for Dungavel House, residence of the Duke of Hamilton. This wasn't random. Hess specifically targeted Hamilton, believing the Duke could facilitate peace with influential British circles. Months earlier, he had attempted contact through a letter that British intelligence had intercepted. With his fuel gauge hovering near empty and pursued by RAF fighters, Hess parachuted from his aircraft. He landed in a Scottish field with an injured ankle, while his abandoned Messerschmitt crashed miles from his intended destination. When approached by a local farmer, Hess identified himself as Captain Alfred Horn, but would soon reveal his true identity. Back in Germany, Hess had left behind a letter for Hitler explaining everything. But when the letter reached him, Hitler was furious. Instead of seeing it as a bold peace mission, he feared how Germany's allies might react. He told the press to paint Hess as mentally unstable and privately gave an order: if Hess ever returned to Germany, he was to be shot on sight. The British, equally mystified by Hitler's deputy's sudden appearance, dismissed his peace proposals. Hess insisted his mission aimed to spare both countries further bloodshed, a tragic miscalculation of Churchill's resolve and Britain's determination to continue fighting. His risky flight ended in failure, a dramatic move that only led to political exile. British intelligence interrogated their surprising new prisoner, but they couldn't have known that decades later, people would question whether he was even the real Rudolf Hess. At Nuremberg, Hess displayed such erratic behavior that it sparked a theory that would persist for over 70 years. His claim of total amnesia confounded prosecutors and psychiatrists alike, creating a psychological puzzle that overshadowed much of the proceedings. Dr. Douglas Kelly, the chief psychiatrist at Nuremberg, described Hess's condition as a true psychoneurosis, primarily of the hysterical type, and grafted on a basic paranoid and schizoid personality, with amnesia partly genuine and partly feigned. Hess seemed to mix real symptoms with deliberate acting, a tactic that kept people guessing, a psychological sleight of hand that would later fuel suspicions about his very identity. Hess eventually admitted to fabricating portions of his memory loss, casting further doubt on his true motivations. Despite his theatrical behavior, the tribunal found Hess guilty of crimes against peace and conspiracy, sentencing him to life imprisonment while many co-defendants faced execution. The Soviet tribunal member, Major General Yona Nikitchenko, forcefully argued that Hess deserved the death penalty alongside other Nazi leaders. This bizarre performance at Nuremberg laid the groundwork for the extraordinary theory that took root during his imprisonment at Spandau. The man behind bars might be a doppelganger protecting dangerous secrets. Dr. Hugh Thomas, one of the doctors who examined the prisoner, noticed something strange. There were no scars from an old bullet wound from World War I. The real Hess had been shot near his armpit, but the man in prison showed no such injury. Hess also showed strange health issues that deepened the mystery. He had sudden bouts of diarrhea during questioning, interpreted by some as a stress response from someone maintaining an elaborate deception. His selective amnesia, digestive ailments, and persistent fears of poisoning painted the portrait of either a deeply disturbed man or someone living in constant fear of exposure. While in Spandau, the Soviets refused to release Hess, even as he aged into his 90s. The prison was built for hundreds, yet it held just one man. The Soviets' firm stance made some wonder, what were they afraid he might reveal? Hess reportedly attempted to take his own life twice before dying in Spandau. The doppelganger theory persisted until 2019, when researchers Sherman McCall and Jan Kemper-Kieslich conducted DNA analysis comparing Y chromosome markers from the prisoner's blood with those of a living Hess relative. Their conclusion was definitive, a 99.99% match, effectively ending decades of speculation that had captivated historians and conspiracy theorists alike. Science may have confirmed Hess's identity, but not the truth about his death. When the 93-year-old was found dead in Spandau's garden house in 1987, the official report said it was a death by hanging, but many believed something else happened. Authorities said Hess hanged himself with a cord from a reading lamp. He was declared dead at 4:10 p.m. at the British Military Hospital. But this simple story didn't hold up under closer inspection. Abdullah Malawi, who had served as Hess's medical attendant since 1982, encountered a scene of disturbing inconsistency upon entering the summer house. The room looked messy, like someone had rushed to move things around, yet remarkably, the cord was in its normal place and still plugged into the wall. This critical observation directly contradicted the hanging narrative. How could a cord be simultaneously fashioned into a noose while remaining connected to power? Malawi also noted the presence of two uniformed Americans at the scene, raising immediate questions about unauthorized access to Hess. A second autopsy found Hess died from strangulation, not hanging. That directly contradicted the original report by the Four Powers pathologist. Was someone else involved? Most suspicious of all, the summer house was demolished within 48 hours. One journalist claimed it was even burned down. Whether intentional or not, the destruction erased the crime scene and any chance of further investigation. It seemed nearly impossible for a 93-year-old with bad arthritis to tie a noose strong enough to kill himself. The timing raised additional questions. Hess died just as Gorbachev's glasnost policies threatened to unlock Soviet archives, potentially revealing hidden aspects of World War II diplomacy. As the last surviving defendant from the major Nuremberg trials, Hess represented a living connection to Hitler's inner circle during crucial war periods. His death conveniently resolved the expensive and diplomatically complex Spandau Prison arrangement, while sentencing a man who potentially held secrets that certain governments, particularly Britain, might have preferred remain buried with the war itself. Rudolf Hess's story isn't remembered for answers, but for all the questions it still raises. Despite DNA evidence confirming his identity, the circumstances surrounding his final moments remain shrouded in controversy. The hasty demolition of the summer house, conflicting autopsy reports, and the physical implausibility of a frail 93-year-old carrying out such an act alone continue to fuel speculation. Even today, more than 3 decades later, the historical puzzle remains unsolved. Various theories persist, from murder to cover-ups. And what still haunts us is what's hidden, locked in archives we may never see, truths that powerful nations deem too sensitive to reveal. Hess's death remains a locked file in history, its secrets sealed behind walls of silence and shadow. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our video, What Happened to Hitler's Family After World War II. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. And we'll see you in the next one.